Hello people of YouTube and beyond, Nerd Transformed here again, and I got another thing from my childhood. This is the Transformer Cybertron Voyager class, Dark Crumplezone, who is an extremely heavy remold of Crumplezone. And this is not one of those random remolds that we often get today, or random repaints. This guy was actually in the show. This was basically his powered up form. And I'm going to go ahead and say it right now, I am missing the missiles. And I am also missing the fins, but the reason I'm still reviewing them is for one, everybody's missing missiles. And the fins, I found out I was only missing the fins because of pictures in the description on TF Wiki. Which apparently when they were packaging the figure, they put the fins in, but they taped them to the back of the box. Or nobody's going to see them, because in Transformer Cybertron, you could usually just get the figure out without completely just pulling apart the box. And the missiles and stuff were on the front of the box with the figure, but the fins were taped to the back. And I'm pretty sure throughout mine, because I don't remember ever having fins for him. So, and along with a lot of our kids and parents, because they were on the back of the box where nobody would see them. And mine does have a couple of paint mess-ups on the front. You can see there's a little bit of a scratch there. But with how it's colored, it kind of just looks like it might have been plastic rubbing. And also, kind of considering he's got like this Apocalypse Thunderdome Death Race look to him. I also don't mind it. Looks kind of good on him, actually. So yeah, the major changes are, I think back here it's mostly the same. The only difference in remold is about right along here. It's definitely painted different. The original Crumplezone, if you don't know, has got like a blue and like dark blue, green, and yellow look. Well, this is more of orange, dark brown, really dark black / blue. It does kind of have a slight blue tint to it. It's like very, very dark blue. Maybe it's like charcoal. And it has this like weird bronze gold color to it for the windows in the back here. And on the weapons too. The major remolds are basically all the cockpit. The back is basically how the original is. These fins the fins on the front were added. Like I mentioned, there's fins added here. You can even see where they were supposed to go. There was no fins on the original. This is about the same, but the remolding is different because on the original there's a lot of details and line work going through there. Well, on this, which just along here it has it. And the biggest difference, the cockpit, which on the original had more of like a motorcycle, Thundercats motorcycle kind of thing, where it's just like a little capsule, futuristic thing. Well, this is more of just your basic windows, although it looks kind of, again, Death Race. And they also added in guns to the front, so edgy. For size, here's his little buddy Ransack. And if you don't know this duo, these are kind of I would call them the pinky and the brain of the show. Or, Ransack kind of always reminded me of Meowth, of being the brains, but not actually being that smart, just more of the ones making the plans of the two. And Crumplezone was just his big goofy buddy who punched shit for him. Oh, I said the bad word. Oh well. He didn't have, I don't remember much of their personality. I haven't seen the show in years, probably not since about 2007 or so. But I do remember Crumplezone was kind of just the big guy who would fight and stuff. He loved fighting. He was really rash and stuff. He also followed Dirt Boss for a while. And just for another comparison, here he is next to the Deluxe Class Hotshot. And yeah, this is what the kind of thing we used to get for a Voyager. Big, bulky, and you can see he has some electronics in there. And yep, leader classes weren't the only one. Actually, now even leader classes don't have electronics. Now it's just the Titan class. Times have changed, huh? He does have a gimmick of you insert a key, which I forgot to grab. Can I use a missile here? Come on. There we go. You get like a blasting sound effect, which I'm told is shorter than the original sound effect. And of course, the guns now flip from being these things now flip from being engines to being giant blasters of doom. And of course, also automatically flips these out. And yeah, that just looks badass. You do not want to mess with that. I don't think it would be able to move very fast because it does not look aerodynamic in the least. And now its two biggest engines just flipped forward, but it does look powerful. It looks like he could just he's his own tank now. And as you can see, he also has some piping detail, and even a little bit of orange for the vents there. It looks very nice. Also notice a lot of clear plastic, probably. While normally I hate clear plastic, here I don't mind it too much. I do like how it looks for the guns, because it does give them this energized blaster look. And for the wheels, well, it's pretty thick plastic. This is a lot thicker than we get for wheels now. I mean, you see, these are pretty thin. And those are solid plastic. These are clear plastic, but they feel a lot more solid because of how thick they are. Same with these. These are a bit thinner, but not quite as thin, not enough to make me think they're going to break. These fins, maybe, but you'd really have to roughhouse with them. And considering it survived my childhood, I think they'll be okay. You can also see some piping detail on the weapon, so maybe when they do flip, you can also kind of force the thing. They won't get the sound effect, you'll just break the spring, basically. You do get some pipes here, so maybe they still work as engines, who knows. And of course, he still has the mini-com port. So, let's get down to transformation. For that, you're going to come to the front and peg these from the wheel. Flip it down. You can basically see the robot all under there. Go ahead and you really got to grab this. Extend these and flip them up. And there you can see some more clear plastic. For some reason, this joint here is clear plastic, which might be a bit worrying. And yeah, the bottom of his feet's clear plastic. On the feet, I don't mind too much, but this joint being clear plastic does worry me. Alright, so now you can get him stand up. His feet, because of his fins, his feet are nice, big, and wide, so he can hold his weight pretty well. Come over here, you can see these are clearly his hands, and they're actually using the bottom of his hands to peg his arms into place. So you can then unpeg those, flip the hands down, come up here, kind of lift the arms a bit to give it some room, because these, on some heavy ratchets, come down to form the shoulders. And his elbow is kind of stuck at this automatically bent formation because of how big it is, so you kind of are stuck with just his arms slightly forward, or you can turn them inward to kind of make them look like they're down. And the last bit is the cockpit here. Go ahead and grab what's the Crumplezone's head, or Dark Crumplezone's head. Then once you get that out of the way, you can unclip the cockpit. Just kind of keep track of the head and make sure it doesn't get stuck somewhere. Flip the wheel in. And this part kind of does remind me of like Optimal Optimus or something, with how he handles his vehicle mode cockpit. And then it just kind of slots in to make the chest and just flatten out the head to where it fits. It doesn't really sit in the spot. If you sit down, it actually goes a little too far in. You gotta kind of just mess with it till it looks right. And there you have Dark Crumplezone in his robot mode. Let's go ahead and get the size comparisons out of the way. Here he is next to his partner in crime, Ransack, who's a scout class. And here he is next to the rather tall but still deluxe class, Hotshot. You can see, maybe he's not that much bigger than deluxe class, but Hotshot is rather tall. Normal deluxe class would be about here. So, yeah, he is pretty big and bulky. The real comparisons I want to get to is, here's what we got for 20 bucks 10 years ago. Here's what we get for 25 bucks now. And yeah, height-wise, they're basically the same, but you can see Crumplezone's a lot bulkier, and all of his plastic's a lot heavier. He is like 2 or 3 times the weight of Hotspot here. On top of that, he also has electronics and gimmicks in him. So even if you count the budget for him being a combiner, he's still got a lot more to him. He is much heavier plastic, a lot more paint, I think, too. Or at least a lot better use of it. I don't know. Maybe it's about the same amount of paint, but it does feel like almost every part of him they could have painted on. The only part that really feels like it's missing paint is the wheels. I feel like they could have painted the rims to kind of give it more of a wheel look. But I can kind of forgive that for the rest of him. As you can see, he's kind of got like a Hulk face. He's got this green face, and his light piping's going off, and it gives him a very scary look. He does have a gimmick here with his head where there's actually these little things on the back of his head so you can get his mouth working. They are a little difficult to work with, but you can get a believable rah 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 Ransack. We gotta stop them. Rah 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 rah. Kind of going through a chompy action there. All he has is a bottom jaw. Like if you actually remove this, it's kind of comical because you just have like this head sitting here. But it does look nice. And like I say, he's just big and bulky and just awesome looking, really. I mean, you wouldn't want to get into a fight with this guy. One thing that's kind of weird is because the gimmick, the weapons do kind of make this thing behind his head, but it doesn't look that bad. And the gimmick still works, of course. But it actually goes all the way around now to give him over-the-shoulder cannons. And yeah, this kind of makes up for him not having any hand weapons. It just looks devastating. And the original Crumplezone had this gimmick too. As far as remolding in this form, it's basically the same thing, just the chest is different and the feet are a bit different. And like I said, if I had the fins, they would be pegged into the arms. But also, I think he looks, I've seen pictures of him with the fins, and they look kind of goofy just sticking out of his arm like that, because they sit like on the lower part of his arm. As far as articulation goes, his head does swivel, and as I mentioned, he does have a mouthpiece he can move if you want. No ball joint, but it does swivel. He's a pretty big guy, and if you want him to look down, you can kind of use his transformation hinge for him to look down a bit. It goes pretty far, but it looks stupid after a bit. But you could do it up slightly to make him look like he's looking down at Ransack or something. He does have some heavy ratchets in the shoulder, both going up for transformation and going forward. And he can't go outward very far with him. Like, that's the most you get out of it. But like I said, you can use the transformation hinge to get a bit more. He does have a swivel above the elbow, and he does have an elbow, even though it's already kind of bent in. You can kind of get going from like 45 degrees to 90 degrees. And he has a swivel under his elbow too, so it's below and below. The Transformer Prime Megatron really used that for his sword wielding stuff. It's a pretty nice swivel too, actually. It looks like you kind of give him like a spin punch going here. Get him going old Gal Geiger style. That would actually be pretty cool repaint for this guy. Surprisingly, he does, despite transforming, he does still have waist articulation. As you can see, it's below the hinge that the transformation joint's on, so... And despite how small his legs are, he does still have full leg articulation, so outward, forward, swivel above the knee, ratcheted knee joint, kind of needed for somebody this big and bulky, and you do have ankle tilting. Does not go forward, but does go backwards, so you can kind of get him in a big, wide pose. Kind of looks like he just got kicked in the crotch. Or in the nuts and bolts, whichever you prefer to use. And the knees do go up to 90 degrees. And with them being ratcheted, I've got about 3 or 4 positions, maybe 5 in there, so... Big and bulky, and yeah, his articulation is a bit limited due to his size and due to how the joints are formed, but at the same time, I feel like if they made normal joints with him, they wouldn't work too well due to his weight. And yeah, he does have some weird proportions with him having tiny legs, but it kind of works for him, and it is accurate to the show model. And it does kind of give him this really powerful look that, like... Because those legs are about normal size, those are about the same size as Hotshot legs. But... all the rest of it went to his arms and his chest, and it just gives him this big, powerful look. And there is a lot of detail mixed into there, like his the chest pieces come off to the side. So no, that's Dark Crumplezone. I do want to get the original Crumplezone, but I'm kind of happy with just this one for right now, and maybe someday I'll get it, but honestly I'm not too sure. It depends on what kind of prices he's at now. But if you can find this one, I say he's worth picking up. Probably would say only go for one or the other because they're probably a bit pricey, but they are really nice. They are really nice figures. Crumplezone's a really funny character, and I just enjoy having them. So I'd say if you're interested in the Transformer Cybertron toy, or you just want a really good built Transformer with a fun gimmick, I say go pick him up. He's a fun little thing, and just really good. He's lasted. This thing's like 11 years old, and it still just works just fine as the day I got it. The only thing is I would watch out for is, yeah, the fins will most likely be missing, but like I said, they look kind of dumb anyway. For completionists out there, it's going to kill them, but for the average Transformer fan, they probably won't mind it. Oh yeah, and watch out. These cans do pop off, so make sure they have the cans attached. The ratchet joints are able to be popped off, so make sure the cans are both attached. And like I said, for completionists, look out for the fins and the missiles, but everything else, don't... Oh yeah, you might want to watch out for broken clear plastic. But overall, he probably isn't that hard of a figure to find. And the original's probably a bit easier. So, I'm Nerd Transformed. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I hope you have a nice day. Take care.